Hi everyone, my name is Vanessa Valyuko and welcome to Personal Pans, conversations about belief, transformation, and all the strange and wonderful things that we experience. Today's episode is with Adler Cooper, who joined us for Panparacon as part of the Tech and Paranormal panel. If you've ever wondered what it would be like to listen to two beings of pure chaos who are both sleep deprived and overcaffeinated talk about the paranormal for an hour, friend, wonder no longer. This episode was an absolute delight. My face literally hurt from laughing because I laughed the entire time. Adler spoke to me about adventures in Brown Mountain and haunted ramen and farting ghosts, and we talked a little bit about astrology too. This was like I said, a delightful conversation, and I hope you enjoy it as well.
It's like, not that it's that early, but it's like early, right? It's early for people like me who stay up too late.
I was up so late, and then I was like, oh, I need to go to sleep. And then it was like 3 a.m, and I hadn't put sheets on my bed yet because we did all our laundry yesterday. And so it was like, oh no. Like I just threw like a fitted sheet on and was like, I have to sleep.
I love that we were both in the same mind space because I was up until almost 2 a.m. I was like, what is wrong with me? I have to record tomorrow. I have to be like awake enough to hold a cogent conversation.
That was my thought too. It was like, you are such a dumb bitch. Like, you have to get up and like talk about things and not be like a zombie. And it's like, I need like an hour with like coffee. And I just like woke up and my alarm, I had to set an alarm, and it was like,
this is great. This can be the sleepy podcast. I am 100% cool with it. I love that we're both in the same, just like whatever. I need some caffeinated beverage. And I'll just get through it. It's fine.
Oh my God. I love it. See, it's me every day, but in science people are like, morning, good. And I'm just like, no, bring me back to my weirdos who are like, what time is it?
Oh my God, thank you. Exactly. You know, sometimes I need to stay up until 2 a.m. because there's something in World of Warcraft I've never done before and I need to do it.
Oh my God. Yeah, I definitely was just like watching like the Hobbit series, and I was like, I need to watch 2 films in one day because that's what you do. And I started my day yesterday at like 2 p.m. So it was like, I'm up. I need to see what happens in these films I've seen before. So.
Okay, I get it. I mean, when Tiger King, when I first started watching it, I was up until 2 a.m. because I was like, okay, I could go to bed and watch this first thing, or I could watch it now because I want to see how it ends.
That's literally, oh my God. Like, my brother and I are both in school, and it was like, we both had finals, and he was like, let's watch this show, Chernobyl. And like, every night he'd be like, we're just going to watch one episode. And I was like, you can't end it. Like, it would like stop on some moment. And it was like, we all know this ends, but I was like, no, I can't.
That's it. I'm invested now. You do not understand my brain, you know?
Yeah, it was like, we can't do this. And he's like, you have school tomorrow. And it was like, I'm aware. Like,
right.
Like, there is a giant reactor that has exploded. I need to see
what the fallout is from this.
I have to know.
And I have to
know. You already know. And it's like, yes, but this is a dramatic reenactment.
Exactly. I don't know this particular interpretation of what happened.
Like, I need to know. So yeah, just a lot of nights of watching nuclear disasters and then Lord of the Rings.
I think that's a great combination. I personally love it. It's funny. I keep looking at my Lord of the Rings DVDs, and I'm like, I got to rewatch these. I've got to. Maybe over the holidays, you know, like that seems like a good Christmas kind of thing. Like, yeah.
See, that's what I thought. Like, my dad loves Lord of the Rings, so it's like, I'll just get him to watch that with me while I take a break from, school. And then my brother was like, we can watch Chernobyl again. So I'm just gonna watch all of this again. And like,
I love it. Oh, I mean, okay, so there's also, it's like the neurodivergent urge to watch the same thing over and over again because you love it. Like, that's so a real mood.
I literally will watch a movie and my brother will come out and be like, didn't you just watch this? And it's like, I did.
I did. I needed to see it again. I don't think you understand.
Yeah, it's like this. I have seen it 30 times now.
I I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with Red Letter Media and their Best of the Worst series. They've done like 100 episodes. I've probably watched all of them like 4 times. Like, not even joking.
My goodness.
It's almost always on in the background. It's literally what I fall asleep to. There's something about their voices that is calming to my brain.
Oh my God.
Right, exactly. And it's like, okay, I could watch this new show that somebody highly recommended, or I could just put on another episode of Best of the Worst.
That's literally me.
Yeah.
I just turn on all of like these horrible movies, but like, I don't know, I like the historical ones that are very dramatic. I get very into like The Imitation Game. You know, like The Imitation Game is like one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
And so I watched it every time I flew on a plane. And then I would like, whenever I get really anxious, I'd watch this movie and it's like, this is not like a calming movie. Like, this is so highly stressful. And then when that was off, it's like, let me watch Interstellar. That's a very like, this is like a very long, very stressful, tragic, sad movie about like space exploration. And I'm like, but this is my calming movie. Let me watch this. Like 30 times.
I understand though. It's like, okay, but my brain knows what all the beats are, and that is comforting. As terrifying or as traumatic as a movie could be, like, oh, this is a tragedy, but I know all the beats, so I'm not going to be surprised. So it's comforting. Yes.
It's like, this is comforting. Like, yeah, that'll happen with Chernobyl. I just know, because like I watched it and I was just so fully invested, and now I'm like, this is my new show. Like, I'm gonna now remember every moment of this.
That's exactly it. Yes. Yeah. And then your brain is just going to be like, oh, remember this thing that you saw that you loved? Dopamine. And it's just
dopamine. And it's just gonna be like, who are you? Like you're into the like chemical meltdown, like everyone's dying, like RBMK reactors exploding, like, oh my God. And I got horrible too, because like I'm that person, I feel like everybody's like this, like you do something with your life and then you get obsessed with something and you're like, this, I'm gonna read about this and I'm gonna get really into this. And it's like, that's not what you do. Like, I don't work with radioactive, I'm a chemist, so it's like, okay, Chernobyl's chemistry, but it's like, I will never touch uranium.
Totally.
I'm just like, let me learn about RBMK reactors, and I want to learn Russian so I can read all the things. And then I literally am like that committed. I'm like, I'm gonna do this, and it's like, you have a talk coming up for your own PhD. I'm like,
you have a PhD program.
They're like, you grow rocks. I'm like, I don't care. I want to think about uranium for.
Oh my, okay. I'm so grateful we're having this conversation, because this is how my brain works, right? Like, this is how my brain has worked my entire life. And I have like 3 close friends who have all been diagnosed with ADHD, like adult ADHD in their 30s. And every time I talk with them, I'm like, oh, like, oh. Because like, perfect example, like Garrett from Liminal Earth, like he posted that, you know, the GitHub today for the Christmas Spirit Box. And I was like, oh, I have to do a 9 Inch Nails one. So like, literally as soon as we're done with this, that's all I'm going to research, like how to make that.
I had like such a good idea at 3:30 in the morning of what I wanted to do with it, and now I've forgotten it. But like it was some like show, like a comfort show, and I was like, we could communicate. It's probably like The Office or something. I don't remember. But
I love that though. Now I'm like, oh my God, what if I did Star Trek The Next Generation? You know, like, let's talk to Gene Roddenberry.
Star Wars, like, let's go full nerd.
Totally. Yes. The possibilities are endless.
Like, I want to talk to Yoda for no reason.
Oh my God. Yes, of course. Why not?
Like,
why not?
The nerdiest thing possible. Let me fit every stereotype here.
I mean, I'm into it though. Like, nerdy stereotypes, disaffected goths, like, let's go full high school. Why not? Like,
oh my God, for real. For real.
I mean, especially too with the pandemic, it's like, okay, what are you afraid of anymore? Honestly, like, whatever you love, just chase it and pursue it, and just find anything that can bring you joy. Like, that's what you should do. Yes,
exactly. It's just like, I'm just gonna like be weird.
Yeah, and like be as authentically weird as I can possibly be. And if people have a problem with it, I don't care.
Exactly.
Like,
my favorite thing to do, because I'm looking at now my ghost fart jacket that I got. I will wear that out in public, and before I go out, I have that moment of like, I don't know. And then I wear it out in public. I'm like, this is the best decision I've ever made.
Absolutely.
It's so good because like the word farting is the biggest word on the back of it.
I did design it that way on purpose.
I'm now thinking about this. I fly back home to Michigan tomorrow. I'll probably wear that through the airport.
Oh God, I love it. I love it. You will bring a smile to at least one person's face.
Somebody is going to think it's funny in this godforsaken swamp town.
Oh my God, I love it so much. I'm gonna cry. So good.
People listening, if you know cut any of this out, they'll be like, what is happening? It is like what time they record this noon, they're both crying and like really awake.
Exactly. You know, if anyone was going to tell me that like this is how I'd spend my adulthood, I wouldn't have believed them, you know, but I can think of no better way. Like, let's just wake up in the morning, talk to other like weird friends about ghost farting. Like, why not?
Literally my favorite thing ever. Like it was my favorite thing because that weekend that we did Pan Paracon, like all the grad students were like, oh, we're having a big hangout. Like we have to all do things together. And I hadn't gone and hung out with them for like a year.
Yeah.
They're like, where are you? What are you doing? And I was like, I'm busy that day. And then like talking with Jason Demir, and it was like ghost farts. Like spooky action in the basement. And it was like, oh my God, like this is the best way to spend it. But if I had to explain this to a group of PhD students.
God, I know.
Or like to me 10 years ago.
That too.
Like, did you know in your early 20s you would be talking about ghost farts?
Yeah, and it would be the
internet
most
friends.
Yeah, a bunch of people you know through Twitter.
Like you will, when you are 23, you will get a Twitter. You will tweet about Mothman's ass repeatedly until you build up about 200 friends. Then friends will invite you to do a cool thing, and which you'll talk about ghost farts. Like,
yes.
Oh my God. Like it's a dream, but it's like, at what point did I ever think this would
Oh, of course. Yes, of course. There was nothing in my past and my past plans that like indicated that this was a trajectory for me at all. Like, no. Yeah, you're gonna
like crying a little bit.
I know. Well, and again, I've mentioned this like several times on the podcast already. Like, I was just so solitary with all of this, like I watched X-Files alone. I read about ghosts alone. Like this was my thing. And then suddenly I find all these people on the internet who want to talk about farting ghosts and like Mothman ass and all these other wonderful things, again, like Christmas spirit boxes. Like, this is the shit that I love, because it's weird and it makes no sense. And it's just like my Aquarius sensibility is just like,
oh my God,
more of this, please.
Yes. You're just like, this is the perfect weirdness for me.
And that's it. Exactly. And just the right amount of like playful, like taking its like serious play, I think is one of the most important things.
Right. It's not like a joke. It's like, no. Like I'm intending, like, this is like, it's important.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to play with it.
I'm going to play with it because this is funny as fuck. So I'm going to play with it.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. That was because I was always interested in all this weird stuff, but like, again, alone.
Yeah.
Also like TV paranormal.
Of course.
But
I know.
But yeah. And then when I found this group too, it was like, because I'm still very solitary, and it was like, oh, I don't know any of them. So like, I'll still hang back. And then like through people, they're like, you could just like go on adventures alone and like explore it physically. And I was like, oh yeah. So like, now I like get in my car and I'll like drive somewhere chaotically and just like exist and like do weird stuff. And it's like,
love it.
Like, wow. Like I can just like go and explore and like be weird in the world.
Oh my God. Who knew? Listen, I was raised by very repressed Polish people. Like, first of all, going outside was not encouraged in general. doing weird stuff, definitely not encouraged, you know? So even you saying this to me, I'm like, oh yeah, I could just like go for a chaotic walk and then see what happens.
Because I did that when I was little. I would like sneak out of the house before my parents. Oh, my dad would be gone at work. My mom wouldn't be up. And I would like, we lived in Colorado on like acreage at the foothills. And so like we had like mountain lions in our yard. Like we lived in a very populated area, but like a mountain lion hunted in our yard. We had rattlesnakes and deer and all this stuff. And the park was behind our house. And so I'd like wake up after my dad was gone, before my mom would get up, and I would just go.
Amazing.
I was like little, and I'd like find like the mountain lion prints, and I was like, cool, big cat. And then like I did that forever, and then I moved to Michigan, and I was like, no exploring. And now I'm like an adult, and it's like, yes. And like, you know, chaotic trip to like Brown Mountain a month ago. It was like, I'm just gonna drive to look for UFOs because I'm 24 and I can't.
Right, I'm an adult. This is an adult decision.
I'm an adult. I'm like just past adult, where it's like I can do it, and just not quite like old enough adult to be responsible. I'm like right in that window of like,
you're in a good sweet spot. Yes.
Chaotic youth. It's like, if I'm gonna kill myself with a PhD, I'm gonna go look for UFOs on Brown Mountain.
I just love this. I feel like this is such a balanced approach, you know, to life in general, but also to academia, because some people, they get into their programs and that's all they do. And it's like, this is why when people get out of their PhD programs, they're not like people anymore.
They're not people.
They're just like walking books, you know? And it's like, oh, you don't know what life is anymore and what the world is like. But you can just like go on these trips. First of all, now it makes sense why you love Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies, because you were going on your own little Hobbit adventures when you were a kid. And I love that.
Secretly a hobbit here.
Yeah, exactly. But now you have reclaimed that hobbit nature, and you can go to Brown Mountain and you can look for UFOs, and you can have like go on your epic journey. I love it.
Exactly. Like that's what it is, and that's the goal. Just like not turn into a zombie in this PhD program. Like
absolutely. Well, and it's like, it's not just PhD programs. I think so many people just kind of get stuck in like, this is the thing that I do now. It's like, you don't have any interests outside of that? Like, this is the only way you're going to define yourself now? Like, really? Like, there's so many other things you can do. Like,
oh my God, it's so bad. Like anything like that, like, you know, because I'm in like group chats with all these other students, and it's like, they're all like, oh yes, they make like jokes, and they're just like, this is my life now. And it's like, oh, but how about this hobby? And it's like, no, this is my, like they joke about it, and it's like, this is disgusting.
Yes, that's sad. That's like scary. That's, you know, I don't get scared by much. That stuff scares the hell out of me because
it's so bad.
It's so bad. Yes. It's like, oh, do you want to live in like the they live universe? Like, what are you like you're just sleepwalking through life? There's so much cool things that you can explore. Like, don't you want to do that? Like,
oh my God, it's so bad. And like my lab partner, the only other grad student in our group, we're tiny. She's like, oh yeah, like I need to like start coming in on weekends. And she's like, you know, like really focusing on this and like just doing this. And she's like, I need to like eat, sleep, and breathe this research. And I'm like, oh, no. She's like, you don't come in on weekends? I was like, no. And she's like, what do you do? Do you read at home? I'm like, no. She's like, where do you go? And it's like, so I drive away from town. I don't know. I'm not in Tallahassee. Like on the weekends, like I'm not here.
Yes, there are other things. I'm doing other things.
Yes, like I'm in the woods. Like I don't know what to say.
Well, I love it. Exactly. Like, again, go explore, find some cool rocks, you know, like, again, I have somewhere there. I have a rock from like my childhood home because I've always just been obsessed with rocks, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just
we all have a rock from our childhood home, don't we?
So I think so, you know, but I also realize I think differently than a good majority.
Well, I also have a rock from my childhood home. It's just in Michigan.
Perfect. I love it.
I love it. God.
But yeah, it's like, again, there's so much out there. Like, why would you just decide like there's nothing else? Like, you're creating. Yes.
Like live.
Just live. Yeah. Whatever limits you're that's again a scare, again, as an Aquarius, a very scary thing to me. It's like, why are you imposing limits on your own life? Like, nobody's doing this to you. Like, nobody's telling you you have to be in the lab on weekends and that you have to do all this reading in your free time. It's like, no, if you have free time, do other things that you love. Like, be a person.
Exactly. And it was my thought too, because there's like in academia, especially when you get up to PhD level, it's like, well, if you're not dedicating, 21 hours a day to your program, they're like, what are you doing? And it's like, if that's what it takes, it's like, I'm dedicated. I love what I do. It's my dream. But it's like, if at any point they go, it's not enough, they'd be like, well, then bye.
Yeah.
Like, see ya. Like, I love it, but I'm not so attached where it's like, this is my identity. It's my life. Like, because it's like, sure, maybe I won't get a doctorate in physical chemistry. Like, great. I won't have 5 years of, being judged harshly under my belt. So it's like, at any point, if they go, no, like, you didn't dedicate all of your time to this, you're like, goodbye. I'll be like, okay.
Yeah, see, have fun with what you are doing, because I'm gonna have fun with what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's like, if you're not having fun, then what are you doing? Like, if you're miserable, and like what is the point? And like my PhD advisor actually told me this once. He's like, yeah, if at any point, like, you decide not to do this, or like if you get kicked out, because it happens,
sure,
he's like, then you spent a few years getting paid as a very like low paid scientist. He's
my God, right. A professional scientist. That's pretty awesome.
He's like, you got to be a scientist for a few years and you got paid like, poverty level wages, but you got he's like, that's the worst case scenario, is you leave this experience having been a scientist.
First of all, I love that your PhD advisor had that like sensibility about it, of just like, no, this is, you get to do what you love and you're getting paid for it.
Yeah.
Again, poverty wages, but you're still getting paid.
It was so wholesome. Like, he said that and it was just like a random conversation. It's not like I'm concerned about getting kicked out or anything.
Totally.
He was just like, he was just talking about this in general. He's just like, he's like, some people it's not for them. And he's like, not a big deal. And he's like, you can always get older and do it again. Because like, academia will always be there.
Oh my
it will
God.
always be there. So it's like, all of this is always there. And if I would rather be in the woods right now, I'm going to go in the woods. So
I love the way you think. I love the way you think. Again, talking about like being chaotic youth and just like, no, I'm going to the woods. Like I to be of that age of just like, no, I can just go out to the woods. It's gonna be fine.
I think I fully embodied my Scorpio rising is really what's happening.
There we go. Okay. Yes.
Yes. I don't think I'm a Leo. I think I'm just a Scorpio. I'm like, goodbye.
Okay, so I feel like with astrology, like again, so I'm Aquarius, my moon is in Scorpio, and my rising sign is Leo. So interesting.
Wow.
Yes. I feel like as I've gotten older, I've gotten more Scorpio in terms of just like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not talking to you. I'm leaving. Bye.
Yes.
No.
Oh my God. I feel it so hard because like I'm the Leo sun, I have a Cancer moon, and then the Scorpio rising. So I'm just like emotional and full of myself. And as I've gotten older, like especially pandemic, I was like, the Leo has just sort of dropped away. Like as like ego death has happened like every day of my waking life since the pandemic started, and like getting weird. I'm like, oh, so like ego death. It's like the Leo is being drained out of me.
Totally.
And then it's just like Scorpio, but then also Cancer to like ground me and keep me just like crying instead of just.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Having a water sign moon, especially if you have, again, I'm an Aquarius, like we don't like feelings. Like we have feelings, we just hate them, right?
Yeah.
Hate them. And then the Scorpio moon is like, I have feelings about everything all the time. And it's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare.
It's so bad. This is the thing where it's like, I've been so curious about astrology, not seriously, but like I always had the apps, and all this stuff. Yeah. And I knew nothing about it, but I always checked it every day. And I'd be like, why do I relate to like the Cancer and the Scorpio? Like I had no idea. I would just check them all to, scientists be like, I could probably relate to all of them.
Data collection. Yes. Right.
Exactly. And I'd be like, well, I only relate to these three, but I was like, I don't know. So I'd always check like the Cancer and the Leo and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't care if it's not real. It makes it like it lines up spookily. And then like this past year, because I'm with all these weird friends, they track the moon phases. And so I was like, okay, like if they post something, like, I'll read it. And it's always, I feel like this way. And they're like, oh, the moon does this. And I'm like, really? And I remember, because I don't pay that much attention, I remember a while ago, I was like crying every day. I was dying. It was horrible. And then I was about to tweet, like, what is the moon doing? Every time I go to tweet, what is the moon doing? Like the first tweet is somebody explaining what the moon is doing. And someone's like, it's a full moon in Cancer. And I was like,
there like, it is. Yeah.
I was so mad. It was just like, I was just like literally in tears, like all in these feelings. And like the Scorpio full moon, I was like, it's like, I'm going to die. And I talked to like friends who are also Scorpios, like major Scorpios. And they're like, oh, but you're a rising. So yeah, you're also going to die. And it was like, I never pay attention to it. And it always just like happens to line up. So whenever I get in a mood, I just go, what is the moon doing? And then inevitably it's like this.
The moon is doing what you are experiencing. Yes. It's specifically attacking you right now.
It's like, it has a vendetta against you because like it's out to murder you.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So
no
like,
options.
I don't care if astrology is real. It's real enough.
Thank you. That's like I love astrology. Again, my mom like taught me the basics of astrology when I was a kid. I love it. If I meet somebody, I want to know what their big three are. Like that, that's enough. And I'm like, okay, I know what kind of person you are, like that's all I need to know. Right. And again, it's one of those things where it's like this, it's fun. B, it is real enough where like I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. I thought this person was an Aries. They're an Aries, or like a friend of mine who is an Aries, and she just had this like softness to her. And I was like, what is it? What is this? There's gotta be like major water. And of course her moon is in Pisces. I was like, yes, of course. It's like, it very rarely am I like, really? Like, were you adopted and your parents didn't tell you? Because that birth information does not line up with what I'm seeing.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's so wild. Like I have friends who are super into it and they're like, oh yeah, well my whatever, Venus is in Virgo. And so that's why like relationships are like this. And I'm like, my Venus is in Virgo. And it's like, oh, I got it.
Exactly.
Like all this stuff. It's just like I have so much Virgo in my chart and I'm like, I don't really know what that is. And they're like, no, that makes sense. I'm like, does it? They're just like, yes, it does. I have like some Aquarius in there. So they're like, oh, you're weird. Got it. It's
yeah. Drawn there. Weird. Cool.
Yeah, it's like you're weird, but then you have the chaos and also like the Virgo. And I'm
Virgo,
like,
yeah.
I'm like, my mom's this makes sense.
Of course. Again, I feel like people who are into astrology enough are like, oh, okay, this tracks,
Yeah.
Even just intuitively of like, okay, yeah. All right. That person's a Taurus. Yeah, that lines up totally.
Oh my God.
Oh, he's a Gemini. Of course he's a Gemini.
Of course. I know like none of it, which makes it so good because like occasionally I'll go back and like reread my birth chart, just to like see like what has changed as I've like sort of figured more shit out. And like one of my favorites is like a quote on one of those birth chart sites, and it was like, maybe very interested in the occult. And I just like like that didn't happen until a year ago. So
oh my God, exactly. I know, but when it starts lining up and stuff starts coming out, like Maitland did my chart and they said like, it was so funny because I had asked specifically about career stuff, because I'm kind of in this transitional period. And they specifically said, oh, like Panpericon, do more of that. And I was like, done. Done. This is the most alive I have felt in years. It's happening. The podcast is happening. Guess what?
Yes, like this is what is happening. Oh my God. I need them to read my birth chart so bad. Like I need to save up and have them read it because I'm sitting here and it's like, I don't understand any of this. It's just like, I know that there's a Leo sun, there's a Cancer moon, there's some chaos. Some other planets are apparently in the weirdo things. Yep. There's Virgo. What does that mean? It's just like,
My mom's a Virgo. I can tell you about Virgos.
well, it's so funny because I never share like my birth chart information. One of my friends is very into it, and she's like, because her family's from like Panama, and they're very like into like spiritualist stuff, and so she was raised, and she like would sneak off with like her grandparents, her mom's like Catholic. She's like, no, you can't talk to them, they're like witches. and she would go and like learn about astrology with them, and so she's like, let's read our birth charts because we're like very close in like times and everything. And she read it, and I just sat there like stock still because I didn't want to react because it pegged me so hard. And I was just like, And she goes, it doesn't look like this is resonating with you. I'm like, oh, a few things did.
Of course.
And it was just like, oh my God.
I love it though, because that's that Scorpio of just like, I know you're not getting any of my secrets. These run deep. These run so deep.
It was like, you are very secretive. You keep things to yourself. And it was just like, and it was just like, you'll open up to like 2 people in your life. And I'm like,
What? I mean, that's the moon in Cancer though, too, where it's like you have all the feelings, but you don't tell anybody about them unless you trust them, and then they know everything
and
about
it's so
you.
hard too, because it's like everybody's like, there's also that Leo of like, no, I trust you. Like, I'm a very like,
I know.
And then it's like secretly I'm like, no, I don't. I have trusted one person in my life. Just one. Just one. Only one person has known the inside of my brain. Will there be a second? I don't know.
Yeah, we'll give it time, but I'm not expecting another one.
Yeah, I'm like, this one, go to my grave. Just one person has seen the inner workings of this chaos being. So...
It's hard when you feel like the embodiment of chaos, right? And you're just like, oh, well, nobody can know this because they're not going to want anything to do with this.
Exactly. Like, I feel like some people get hints from like my social media because it's like, I'm like sad boy always, but then I'll post something chaotic and it'll be like a moody tweet and then there'll be like 3 memes. And it's like, are you like stable? It's like, I'm fine. It's just, I'm just chaos. It's like, I'm very sad and traumatized and depressed and anxious.
Yes.
But here's this meme.
Yes.
But also my uterus is attacking me. You all need to know about my bodily health. And then I'm just like, I'm chaotic. It's like I'm open, but also you'll never know the inner workings of my brain. And it's just like here's a selfie, but I hate how I look. But here, look at
Adler, I'm like losing my fucking mind right now because this is so similar to how I operate, where it's like, oh, look, I'm posting a cute photo of me in this new thing I made, but nobody's going to know what are in my inner thoughts ever. Like,
it's so bad. Like, if you look at my Instagram, it's literally me being like, trying to be like open and vulnerable. And then it's just like, then I'm like talking about like ghost farts later. And it's just like, who are you? It's like, I'm like, I swear people are going to think I'm mentally ill, which I am, but like,
right. Say, okay, thank you. Exactly. It's like, yes, I am mentally ill. That has nothing to do with this.
Yeah, it's like, this is just who I am. Like, I don't know what to say. It's like, I'm an introvert and like my extrovert comes out on social media because none of you are near me.
Right, because it's safe. You're all a good distance away, so I can just present, It's
like, here I am. It's like, that's the Leo. I'm like, look at all of my mess. Please. Here is my mess.
Adore my mess.
Yeah. I'm like, please like this photo. I'm going to delete in 2 minutes because I don't like it anymore. Like, here's my sad boy thoughts. Like, whatever. Like, I'm 24 and I'm sad because like I'm barely past teenager. And it's like, I should delete that. And it's like, no. Let me make more. Literally, it's like, my social media is chaos. And I never understand. Like, I have Facebook friends and I know everybody on my Facebook, but like 2 people on my Twitter. And like, I watch the little follower count go up because I don't really care about it, but it's like, what's happening?
Like, why are people engaging with this?
It's like, do you see my tweets? Like, I bitched about my uterus for the last 24 hours. And my follower count went up by like 6. And it's like, what am I doing? Like, I'm contributing nothing. It's like, there's not even like, I don't even talk about science. Like, my little bio is about how I'm a scientist. There's no fucking science on my Twitter feed. It's just like, what is this? Like, I literally don't even know what I post on Twitter. There's like, people are like, yes, I want more of this.
Yes, I want to be extra engaged with this. Please
Yeah,
rant
like,
about
I
your
wanna
uterus
see-
more.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
like 48 hours, it'll be like, let me post memes about whatever, something else.
Totally. Yes.
Like being alone. Like, that's what millennials do, right? They're like, I'm alone forever. And it's like, let me just post about this. And it's like, what is this?
And then because you embody pure chaos, it's also like these occasional like inspirational tweets that like really resonate and are very thoughtful. And I'm just
That's like,
oh,
I'm
I needed
moody.
this.
Because that's like a hint into like the inner workings. Because when you actually like when I talk to people are like, oh, you're an extrovert, and I'm like, sort of, they're like, oh, you're bubbly and all that stuff. And it's like, no, inside I'm some like reincarnation of some old poet who's not very good at poetry, but who's very moody, and like,
Yes.
I write very differently than I speak, and I process the world very differently than what comes out of my mouth. So like if you read like Moby Dick, like that's the kind of narration that's going on in my brain, which is why I retweet those little automated Moby Dick tweets all the time. That's also like half my Twitter feed.
Yes.
So it's like my brain is like a writer from the 1800s being moody, which is where like a lot of my moody Instagram posts come from. Or if like you ever talk to me like through typing, that's how you'll get to know me. Because like then I can like write my thoughts and process them, and it's like, who are you? And then you'll read a tweet about Mothman's ass.
Of
So
course.
so like some of those like inspirational tweets, I'm like, no, it's actually like what's going on in here, and I just share them occasionally. And then it's like,
Yeah.
okay, but now let me talk about my uterus. Like, I love you all. Here's something.
Yes, exactly.
Now let's go back to this.
Let's talk about the cramps in the blood. Yes.
Elevator from The Shining. Let's go. It's like, I know you all want to know that I have a genetic disorder and I'm miserable right now.
Of course, exactly. I don't know. I kind of love it. Again, that's my potentially ADHD brain, maybe just trauma brain, probably both. But just like,
yeah, like
I need it all.
It's like,
I need it all.
Do I have ADHD? Probably, because you look at the speed and it's like, what is this?
I
Like,
know.
what medication do I need to be on that I don't have?
That's exactly it. I know. Oh, that's how I felt when I got on Lexapro. I was like, this is very useful. And there's something else missing here. I like the fact that I'm still very weird,
Yeah.
just like I don't spiral into panic attacks. So I'm way more functional. It's fucking great. It's great. But I'm like, would Adderall help? Like, maybe getting a little more organized, a little more focused.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. I at some point, because I always have to go around my life with music. So I always have at least one earbud in with music.
Oh, yeah.
Through everything. And if I don't have it in, I can't focus. And I'm like, this is a sign of something.
Exactly.
I literally was like, can I go through like in a few years my PhD defense with like a headphone?
You've got big hair. I bet you could just hide one in there.
It's like, do you think it could hide?
100%. You should hide one in there. Don't even tell them. Like, you
somebody
just
asked a question from one side. I'm like, wait, let me turn.
Yeah, exactly.
Little Nas is blasting through the other ear. Like, like I'm hyping myself up.
Exactly. You don't understand. This is my emotional support headphone. I need this. Talk to the
God.
ADA, like,
oh my God.
I love it. Again, I'm again so glad you were willing to talk to me, because it's like, this is my engagement with like everything in life, and including the paranormal and the occult. It's like, you should be having fun. You should be playful. Like, you can do serious work, but like have a light heart with it. And then I think everything is just going to be more successful. At the very least, you will be happier. And so that is success as far as I'm concerned,
Exactly. It's just like having fun and being chaotic. Like, it's the best thing. That was my whole point behind like when I went to Brown Mountain, it was like, literally, it was like, I was taking myself so seriously. It's like, I want to go on a road trip, but not in Florida. Because like,
yeah, fair.
I love Florida, but it stays green the whole year.
Right.
And I was like, I want somewhere. I told my brother, it was like, I need to go somewhere I need to go somewhere. I need to do something. I want to see colors.
Yes.
And it's like, what if I just like rented a cabin in like North Carolina and I just like drove, and I kept saying it, and it was like, why don't you just do it?
I love it. I
was
love
like-
it.
Such a chaos trip. And then there it was like, well, my cabin is like 2.5 hours away from Brown Mountain. I'm like, that's such a long drive. And then it was like, okay.
Yeah, right? What else am I gonna do
Like-
up here? Like
You're in a cabin on the side of a mountain alone. You have a car. You want to go look for UFOs. So go.
perfect. Love it. Yes.
Like, just do it. And then it was like, oh, but what if I stay? Like, oh, it was such a whole thing of like me trying to like be fun but also rational. It was such a fight between like the like organized, probably what's Virgo. I don't know.
I was gonna say that's the Virgo.
It's
hard.
probably the Virgo
Yes.
being like, you're gonna die out here. And the Scorpio being like,
that's Virgo.
bring it on.
Yeah, Scorpio's like, I don't care. I want to
Yes.
experience it.
Like, I want to see
Yeah.
UFOs. I want to go see if little goblins will crawl out of
Of
this
course.
hillside.
Because they might. Yes.
Because they might. And like, I literally went to Brown Mountain 2 days in a row. And it's like, I drove at least 6 hours every day I went to North Carolina.
Oh my God.
It was like, you're such a chaos bead. And like the second time I went back, I like went back too early. I didn't eat that whole day. And I was like, I came to be here at night and it is 11 in the morning. How am I going to spend 12 hours?
Oh my God, right.
And then I was like, I'm just gonna, there was like a mountain. I was like, I'm gonna drive up the side of this mountain. And, and like my car was like a 2-wheel drive little Jeep. And like,
Oh my God.
my favorite moment, like this where I was like, I can't take myself too seriously. It's like, what if your car breaks down? It's like, I don't care. Like, literally drove up the side of this mountain because I didn't know where I drive with no GPS anymore. So I was like, I'm just gonna go up this dirt
Amazing.
trail.
Sure.
And I went up it and I got up to the top and it was horrible. It was horribly washed out. Like the road, it was like waves and it was up a fucking mountain. And it was like, I don't know if I'll be able to get back down. And then I got to the top and there were like 30 dude bros and they're like Jeeps with like 4-wheel drive, like Jurassic Park style Jeeps at the top. And they all were looking at me and I was like, hi. Because like I'm in this little 2-wheel drive, like little Jeep. It's like, it is a Jeep, but like you can tell it's not really made for this. And I was like, hi. I get out and it turned out that this place that I found, it was actually from the last scene of Hellier, that outlook that they're all at. It was that spot. And I was like, oh. And so it was like, cool.
Totally. That is pure trickster energy. That's incredible.
I was like, I have no idea because I didn't like, it's like, yeah, I've seen Hellier, but I don't stalk the locations. You know, I'm not like, I'm going to go. It's like, yeah, Brown Mountain, but I've known about Brown Mountain since I was a kid. I wasn't like,
Yeah.
I'm going to go, you know, stay at the cabin that they were at, you know, like all this stuff, you know, because all of us are very much into Hellier. Like,
Of
I know
course.
that's, it's life-changing, that whole
Yes.
doc. And so it was like, yeah, I'm in the area that they were at. But like, when I came out to that, it was like, oh, it's like,
Right.
here is that overlook. Guess I'm
Yes.
here now.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Incredible.
alien cave base. Where are the goblins?
That's it. Exactly. I'm ready to join the task force. Let's go.
Like, here I go. And like, I've already decided there's a campsite up near that outlook. And it's like, I already told my friend who has just watched Hellier, I was like,
Oh,
we're gonna go camping and look for aliens. And she's like, okay.
That's great. As long as someone is willing.
It's like, yeah, exactly. I'm just like, I just need like another person. It's like, I do this alone, but I can't do Estes method and talk to ultra terrestrials alone. It's like, this is very serious business. I need one other person.
I love that, like, Scorpio negotiation of like, okay, I hate people, but I need this for the
Yeah.
Estes method.
I mean,
So-
like, what? It's so bad because I always want to go on adventures alone. I'm like, no, I want to go in the woods alone. Like
alone.
in Tallahassee, like I drive alone into the national forest, and everybody's like,
Yes.
you're gonna get murdered, and I'm like, yeah, but I can't bring another person.
Right.
I'll go crazy. So like to North Carolina, my friend's like, oh, you could invite me, and I'm like, no.
No.
Like,
no.
I'm gonna
Do you want to keep this friendship? Then no, you stay
Yeah.
here.
It's like, I'm in this cabin. alone for 4 days, and that's how it's gonna be. Like, I'm going alone.
That sounds like heaven to me. Yes.
It was literally my favorite 4 days ever. And I got back and they're just like, how was it? And I'm like, it was great. And I never told them any of their details. Like, I post pictures, but I still have not told anybody like what I did. I'm like, yeah, I went to Brown Mountain. I looked for aliens. I found that Outlook. You know, I'm like, oh, here. And they're like, no other details. Just like, no one will know what I did at Brown Mountain. No one.
No one. This was for me.
For me and me alone. Like, that is it. You'll get some pictures with no context.
That's exactly right. You'll just think, ooh, pretty. And that's what I want you to think.
Yeah. Yeah. You're just like, wow, so aesthetic. Like, I took some like feisty Leo pictures of me on a porch, you know, because I'm
amazing.
like, feeling myself alone in North Carolina. And it was just like, no one will know. Like, no. Like, oh, so cool. Like, such an important place to go, especially all the weird friends. Like, what did you do? Like, what did you? And it's like, no.
Yeah, this isn't for you. You don't understand. I'll send you my astrology chart and you'll understand why this is not for you.
But also, it's like, I won't send you my chart.
We'll make vague mentions of astrology and you won't understand why this isn't
and
for
you won't understand why it's important. Yeah, it's just, oh my God. It's like one person knows, like one friend knows, like in my chart, why like all of it was super important for me to like go alone and be where I was.
Of course. Yeah.
And even she's like, don't tell me anything.
Because she understands you. Yes.
Exactly.
Oh my God, amazing. I love it. Have you gone on any other adventures recently, aside from, or it doesn't have to be like immediately recently, but like other favorite adventures?
I mean, I always go into like some swamps here. We have like
okay.
I have like 2 places in Tallahassee that I go where no one else will go. And like, I haven't been to my oceanside secret location, you know, or other grad students haven't found me, but haven't gone there. But I have like some swamps that I go to, and they're like actually Indian burial mounds. Like, they have the big mounds.
Really?
And they're really beautiful. And like, they talk about like underwater panthers and like beings that are not like gods, but aliens that come down and talk. Like, it's literally, their culture is so beautiful. And I need to read more about it.
Of course.
But there's not much known about them. So I go to that swamp and I go way back off the trail into the woods and like,
oh my God,
build little altars and do like little.
I'm in love with this. This is so good. Oh no.
It's like such a pretty place. And like, last time for a second. Okay.
I know, like, you froze. I think the goblins were like, no, don't talk about the swamp.
They know. But like, I wasn't gonna say details. They're like, don't say details.
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
Worry.
I know.
But I was way off the trail and I did my weird shit. And then I was leaving that section of the forest, and like these 2 teenage like frat looking boys were coming in that direction. And it was like, they're about to get spooked.
For real. Amazing.
Like, I didn't hang out for it, but it was like, I wish I could see your faces.
I know. Our brains are just gonna explode.
Yeah, because it's like I'm not like, I would never call myself a witch or, and you know, like I'm not that, but it's like, I'm weird.
Yes.
And like, I do things in the woods because of the things I've experienced in life.
Yes,
So
exactly.
it's like I'm gonna go out and do this, and I meditate in the woods, and I leave altars, and like, you know, and it's like, and they're gonna find it.
Just love frat boys being like, what the fuck?
Oh my God, my favorite though, there's like a part in this trail where it got like washed out, and so there are these big trees that I climb on. There's like a tiny river that goes underneath it, and I sit in the middle of these trees over this river, and I'll just sit there. And like, people on the trail will be like, what are you doing? Because I'm like 20 feet off the ground sitting on these trees, just like hanging out. And one time I was sitting there and this guy came up and he started talking to me. I'm like, why are you talking to me?
Oh no, exactly.
And then he goes, I found something weird in the woods. I thought you might know what it was. And it was like, I mean, it's like, I get it. But For a second, I was like, why would you think that I would know? And I was like in all black. I was sitting on this tree, like completely relaxed over a river.
You're a druid. You clearly know what's happening in the woods.
Yeah. And he showed me, it was like this beautiful altar that was left by a river with like a sunflower and like salt around it, like an offering of like a coin. It was so beautiful.
My God.
And he was like, yeah, what is this? And like, I didn't know it, you know, I was like, I need to search. I'm like, it's not a bad thing. He was like worried it was something bad. And I was like, no.
No.
I was like,
this is reverent. Yes.
I was like, that is beautiful.
Yeah, right.
And he was just like, oh, okay. He's like, I thought you would know. And then he left and it was like,
whenever shit like that happens to me, I'm always like, why is the universe sending this person to me? Like, what wires got crossed in the great cosmic where they were like, you talk to this one?
It was so strange. Like, and then one day, like around that time too, my brother and I went to the grocery store and like I got like a cinnamon broom, you know, and then just like groceries, right? And it was just like veggies because that's all I eat. And I went to check out and there's just a cinnamon broom and like just veggies. And the guy goes, little witchy, aren't we? And it was like, doesn't everyone, who else, like if these 40-year-old women are buying cinnamon brooms, like what?
Oh my God, thank you. Exactly. Yes.
It's like, it smells nice. Like, what is this?
First of all, also the cinnamon brooms at Trader Joe's are cheap and like very effective. So why wouldn't you like, and they smell great.
Yeah, they're like $2. And it was like, why wouldn't, it was just so strange, just like very witchy, aren't we? And it was like,
right.
What?
Right. Can you reserve that judgment, sir?
Yeah. It's like, sir, I know nothing of witchcraft.
Yes, I will have you know, I am very ignorant about this.
Exactly. It's like, I'll have you know, I don't know the first thing.
Exactly.
Oh gosh, our internet is like, they're like, stop.
I know, we're like tapping into some weird, like good stuff right now. It's like,
It's like, stop. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, it's saying mine's unstable. What?
Oh no.
Oh no, now it's back. I have very good internet. Watch it be Paul Ramen. It's probably Paul being like, you're not talking about me.
Okay, we'll talk about Paul.
Oh my God, Paul's been turning our TV on and off. At least that's what my brother says.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. My brother does not believe in like weird stuff. And he's like, did you leave Paul at home today? I'll be in the lab. And he's like, yeah, the TV keeps turning on and off. It's Paul. To the point where he's going to put controls on the TV when we go home in case Paul turns the TV on when we're gone.
Oh my God, I love it.
Paul's coming with me. Like, I have to bring him through TSA tomorrow. I'm literally going to miss the ramen stream, but I'm just going to be documenting me with Paul on an airplane, like going.
I mean, I love that personally. I think that's amazing.
It's so great. I'm going to go home and be like, Mom, I need to have ramen for lunch. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Exactly. You don't understand any of this, and that's okay. This is a thing I need to do right now.
Yeah, it's like, don't worry about it. She's like, what's the symbol? Be like, oh, it was on there when I bought it.
It was discount ramen because it was like somebody had written on it. It's fine.
A single pack. You know, they don't sell them in singles, but they sold the single and it had this thing on it. And I'm going to eat it because I trust it.
Of course. Yeah. It's sealed. It's fine.
It's ramen. What could really be so bad about eating ramen? Like,
exactly. Thank you.
So like, it might possess me, but it's fine.
Whatever. It's all right. You know, like enjoy the adventure, basically.
Exactly. It's like there'll be an exorcism in the house in another however long. The casual things you do when you go home for winter break, you get possessed, you do an exorcism.
Of course. Yeah, totally fun. Well, again, it's great because we have the circle of weird people that we know. So we could probably get somebody to do an exorcism for you if you really need it. Like if Paul gets a little, I don't know, spicy. And
if Paul decides to be spicy. And he's like, I want to hang out.
I want to hang for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's so much. This is why, like, too, like all these things, people are like, do you want to like talk about weird stuff? I'm like, yes, we have to before I go home, because if my mom heard me talking about.
Boy. Yep.
She owns a Ouija board, but like my parents are weird, but I don't know if they would be down.
There are levels of weird, right?
There are levels. Yeah.
Yes.
There are
And
levels.
like, and I feel like there are different systems of weird, right? Because I feel like I'm like very weird, but in like a fun way. And then there are people who are very weird in a not fun way. And like some people don't know the difference. It's like, no, there are two tiered systems. You don't understand.
Exactly. See,
you don't hang with those people.
Exactly. And it's like, I'm weird in the fun way, but I also don't know much because I've like always been into the weird stuff. But I'm like, I don't remember all the UFO cases. I don't know that much about the history of paranormal research. I'm just like, I'm here for some fun. And like,
exactly. Yes.
It's like, that's cool. We'll do some weird experiments. I don't know what I'm doing. So I don't know. But like my dad grew up in a haunted house. My mom has been into weird stuff. So it's like,
it's so good.
It's like, it's there. And they're like, oh yeah, aliens. And but like,
yeah,
it's just like, it's a different thing. They like watched Hellier and everything. And they were not into it at all until the last episode when they did the ritual in the cave. And it was like, it was like of everything you were interested. They were dead silent, so focused on that ritual summoning Pan. And it was like, what?
What?
They were so interested. And like my dad is interested in the hypnosis stuff. He didn't think it was relevant to like this case at all, but he was like, they were so interested in the ritual. And it was like, I thought they would hate the last episode.
Of course.
And they were just like, so focused.
I'm amazed they like got through 2 seasons if they weren't that into it. Like, and then it was the ritual that was like, this is the thing I have to watch forever, you know?
It was so crazy because of course the first episode they were like goblins, like they were both so into it. Like mom was like so into it. My mom is like, she's that person who's like, they never found a goblin. And it was like, I told you they wouldn't find a goblin. I'm like, that's the joke. That's the joke.
Right. It's kind of like the point, actually.
It's bigger than goblins. So she's one of those people that she's like, she likes to see things. She likes the instant reward.
Yes.
And my dad was into it, but he goes, they're just interdimensional coal miners.
Okay, I kind of love that though. Like
it was so cute. And he was like, yeah, they're probably friends with interdimensional Yeti. Like my dad is like fully in for the ultra terrestrial interdimension. He's so in on it.
Love it.
But he was like, these people are going out in caves and doing drugs. And it was and it was like, Dad, you did that. So
yeah, don't project.
It's like, that's what you did. And I know that's what you did because mom told me. So, and he's like, yeah, and I heard a Bigfoot. And it was like, see?
Oh my God, right? Exactly.
It's like, this was you 20 years ago. So you can just
yeah, you can save the judgment.
Yeah, it's like, don't even lie to me. Like,
oh my God.
Like, you grew up in a haunted house. You should be totally on board.
Totally. Yes. Yeah. Man, that's yes. I love that though. Like I feel like, again, I really like this crowd because they seem more interested in the idea of ultra terrestrials or like things that we don't understand rather than, you know, Bigfoot is a lost primate and things like that.
Yeah.
It's just always weird to me. I love it, but it's always weird to me when somebody outside of like our Twitter group is like into it, like 100% into it. It's like, oh, I can have a conversation with you about this. Like, this is awesome.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was so funny. So like, obviously I live in Twitter sphere, and when I go to grad school, I kind of like isolate. I'm like, I don't really, I talk to a few people, but I'm like, they know I'm weird. They've stopped talking to me for the most part. But I remember I was sitting there waiting for the seminar to start, and the kid next to me, he knows that like I'm weird. And so like, he knows like I was going to Brown Mountain, and he knew that like I was gonna go to Savannah Paracon because he's from Savannah.
Oh, cool.
And so like he knows that like I'm into this weird stuff. And he goes, I found something online that I thought you'd be like interested in. And I was like, what? It was kind of like, what?
I
And
know.
he goes, it's this really scary haunted statue that somebody found on this mountain. And I went, stop. And I was like, where'd you find this? He goes, oh, it was like a Reddit post, and I was like, continue. And he's like, yeah, they call it the crone. I was like, I know about the crone. And like, I just like talked his whole ear out. I was like, the crone. And I was like, Greg and Dana. He's like, yeah, I read about Greg and Dana. I was like, you need to join the museum and watch these live streams. And I was like, there's going to be a documentary on the crone. I like went full off. And I think like it scared him a little bit because I was suddenly like extroverted.
Because it's something you care about. So it's like all that energy. It's
I
just
was
like,
so
boom.
excited because I'm like waiting here for the crone because I'm so excited to see what they did with it.
Yes.
And he was just like, oh, so you know about the crone.
I know a little bit about it. Yeah.
And it was just like, yeah. It's like, I know a little bit. It's like I'm like, I'm friends with them, right? It's like I'm on Twitter with the people who took care of the crone.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Right. The guardians of the crone.
The guardians of the crone. It's like the Newkirks.
Exactly. Yes.
It's like, yes. And I was like, you too could be friends with the Newkirks.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it was just so random. It's like we're sitting there ready to like get taught about like nuclear radiation safety, and he's like, I heard about this creepy scary statue called the crone.
You're like, let me tell you about the crone.
Oh my god, I got so excited and I forgot there were like other grad students sitting in front of us, and it was like
it's always so hard where it's like the enthusiasm, that energy, right, like activates, and then you're like, oh no.
It's like I can't go back now.
I know exactly. I've like opened the door. They all know that I'm into this. Damn it. Yeah. I could pass before.
I think I could pass. Oh my god. But I don't think I could pass because like that was the whole thing. Like I talked about in that post after Pan Paracon, because like I hide all of that. Little Scorpio me, I'm like, no,
this is not for you. This is
you don't know this. I
Yes.
am serious scientist only.
Of course. Yeah.
Like that's me. And when I hung out with the other grad students for the not first time, but like the third time during the pandemic, because like that was all the people you could interact with.
Of course.
And we went to hang out at a beach and they started talking about like murder stories. Like we're on this beach late at night and they're talking about murders, and I hate that stuff. So I was like, I'm going to sit back and ignore all of your conversation and watch this meteor shower.
Amazing.
So, like, I sat behind them. They were all talking for like an hour straight, and I was just watching the stars, completely ignoring them. And then at one point, they all got quiet. They all stopped talking. And this girl in front of me, she goes, "Are any of you ghost people?" And they all looked at me. And I was like, what? Because I wasn't paying attention. Like I heard her sentence, but I wasn't paying attention because it's like, I haven't talked about this with any of you. Not once. Like not at all. And they all looked at me, and then she proceeded to like berate me for an hour about how she could convince me anything was real, like paranormal was all fake and it's all whatever. She's like, it's all psychology. My mom's a psychologist. It's like, okay, sure, whatever. Fucking it could be psychology. I don't care.
Yes.
It's like I said nothing.
Right. I am being attacked right now, and I said nothing.
I was watching the stars.
Yes, you interrupted my happy star time.
Exactly.
To verbally assault me. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, rude.
Like, what is this? And the other kid's like, yeah, I saw a ghost growing up. And I was like, look, he said more than I have about any of this. It's like, why am I? So clearly it's apparent.
Yeah, there's something you're radiating.
Yeah, they're like, you're weird. And it's like, yeah.
No. Yeah. I get it. It's stopped in recent years, but like I was always the person that like people would just start talking to, like on the train or like on the street, or just like, you. I'm like, what am I? I'm just trying to go to the grocery store. Like, why? Why?
It's so true. People just talk, and I'm always like, I hate people. Why are you talking to me?
Exactly. Yes.
It's like, I just want to like hole up and be safe. And then like I have people approach me in the woods, like, I found something in the woods. Let's talk about it. And it's like, I'm on a tree above a river, sir.
Yes, sir. Do you not see what is happening right now? I am communing with the spirits of the woods.
Like I'm having a moment.
Yeah, I am achieving a transcendent state right now. And you're harshing my vibe. Like,
It's like I am doing spooky things.
yes, spooky solitary things. These do not involve you, sir. Get back, sir.
Exactly. So other people can see it. I don't know. Maybe that's the Scorpio. That's what I'm saying. I swear I'm not a Leo. I swear it's just
No, well, that's the rising. That's just the like energy that you project out, like so people are like, oh, she's into moody, spooky things. I gotta talk to them. Like, no.
And it's so funny because again, like the way I verbally communicate is so different from like writing. And so I'm like, if you want to talk about this, you should probably write to me about it. Because otherwise I'm gonna be like, I'm just like, yes, do you want to hear me word vomit some things? Not well at all.
Oh my God, exactly.
It's like, I am a goof. Like that's literally, people are like, describe yourself. It's like, I'm a goof. Like, if you want to get to know me, you have to text me or write. Like, you have to give me the chance to write it, because otherwise I will just seem like a silly goon. Like that.
Right. And you at least want to be seen as a moody goon, right?
Yeah, it's like, I'm a goof for sure. For sure.
For sure. But there is depth to this goofiness.
There's depth, yes. Like,
yeah.
This is a river, and like, yes, we're on an inner tube on the top, like having fun, like, like some kind of silly, like we're on an alligator inner tube on the top, but like there's a river. So,
that is the Scorpio and the Cancer of like, you do not, like, again, you just see the inner tube, you don't see the depth.
Yeah, exactly.
That is
it's
here.
Like, this is an iceberg, and
yes,
underneath it will wreck you, sir. But only if I let it.
That's it. This iceberg will destroy you.
Like at the very top is just like little atoms, like chemistry, happy, and then it's just like moody all of it. It's like, you're not prepared.
Oh my God, yes. I love it. Genius.
This episode is brought to you by Chaos.
Yes, that's the title.
Thank you so much for listening and or watching. You can follow Personal Pans at Personal Pans on Instagram and on Twitter. And I hope that this conversation is inspiration for you to have a playful and curious day.